Are you a fan of the No Dishes podcast? Be sure to check out our Patreon, where you can find exclusive merch and perks, and join the Clean Plate Club, our Facebook group where you can connect with other fans of the No Dishes podcast, share your favorite moments from the most recent episodes, and submit questions for upcoming guests. Season 4 of the No Dishes podcast is brought to you by visitbloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurants and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at visitbloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Dishes podcast. I'll be your host this week with our very special guest, Lewis Rogers, the creative mastermind behind the No Dishes theme song. Join us as Lewis and I talk about growing up in Bloomington, the beginnings of his music career, touring with Busman's Holiday and Super Bobby, and find out his tips for finding the best food while on the road and where to eat in Bloomington.
Hey, say, honey, let's go out to eat. Relieve our culinary duties. With all these restaurants to sweep us off our feet, they're bound to turn us into foodies. No dishes, no dishes, no dishes. We'll have a bottle of wine for lights and have a good time. No dishes. No dishes.
So you do like one camera stuff then with your own Canon.
Totally.
The C300, 100?
C100 with the Mark II.
Making anything lately?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I did that. I miss it. Well, we need to make music videos.
Yeah.
That's the next thing. So
yeah.
Gotta get on that horse, you know?
Yeah. Well, you've been kind of had your hands full.
That's right. That's right. That's
yeah. I mean, I know, we both have been new dads in the last year or so.
Right. You doubly.
Double hands. Yes. Full.
Crazy.
We'll get to that. We'll get to the dad.
Cool.
But what's new just generally with you right now in life? It's 2023, man. Right. New dad, music, band, yes. Other things, what's happening? That
feels like most of it. Like new dad, music. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of it. It feels like sometimes.
I heard you were making a cabinet.
Yeah. No, I made a cabinet. That's right. Yeah. Cue to the picture of the cabinet.
Okay. Ding.
Yeah.
There it is. Tell us about that.
We had a friend made a record shelf for us. Mm-hmm. Not made it for us. They gave it to us because she had made this kind of a bit makeshift, and it was like it was cool on its own. The previous cabinet, but then I had been scheming for a long time. Okay, for this wall, I want it all to be like built in, and then I did that, and so it's about 6 months ago I made the shelf on the wall, and then I made the bottom one. Mm-hmm. So then there's doors on it now, so Benny can't get in.
Oh, nice.
We got this fancy magnet lock, so you can kind of hover it over, so it's kind of
snaps up like
it kind of like it's a magnet. I don't know. It's like a little hook, and then you put the magnet over it and it goes down.
Oh.
So he now tries to open up because he used to just open up the cabinet and then it's all knobs and record stuff, and
he wants to get into Dad's vinyl collection, huh? Just
totally
start listening to the jams.
Right. And I want that, but it's like we gotta lock it up while we're listening because he gets that stuff. It's so delicate and just
you got to teach him how to put it on the record player with the needle.
Yeah.
And, that takes some finesse, some fine motor skills.
Right. That ain't no baby thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing. So he's real. He likes to get in. He's figured out how to open up the thing and then put his hand in to get to the needle. And then now it's just.
Well, that was so cool. When Casey was telling me about you making that, I know that you guys have done a lot of like your own customization, just in your own home that you guys moved. How long ago have you been now? Did you move into that house together?
It's almost like 2 years now.
I feel like it's been
Is it
way
longer?
longer than that.
It's not way longer. It's not way longer. It was definitely like I think it was the April of 2020. So maybe almost 3 years now.
Really? Wow.
And it's finally feeling like our house, but it took about 3 years to do that.
I mean, you were building like cabinets in the kitchen and remodeling the bathroom and
electric, and I learned so much and forgot it all.
Yeah. Really?
Pretty much.
If there was one thing that that you would look forward to doing again, if at some point, or just maybe it was a fun thing to build in your own house, what would have that been with like the remodel of your home? Was any of it fun?
I don't think so. I don't like. I'm not made like I can do that work, but I'm not necessarily made for it. Like some people. I do that with music where I can get really into the weeds, and I don't have a problem with being like, let's get to the the nth degree of this and really zoom in. With woodworking, I get to a point. My dad's a really good woodworker, and then like I learned a lot from him. And then at a certain point, I get kind of like, all right, let's finish this. I don't care. I just want this for the family. I want it to be nice enough, but I'm not necessarily like if I got paid, someone would be kind of pissed.
I find myself often resorting to in video production. There's perfect, and then there's done.
Right.
And I'm kind of a broad strokes person, which I think one thing that's what Monica and I make a good couple in is she's very detail oriented. So like for like landscaping, right? Have you guys gotten into landscaping at your home yet?
Casey kind of does that.
Getting into that,
which I'm happy for because that's like I would love to do it, but it's still I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's cool.
She'll be the one pulling out like individual little weeds. And I'm the one with like the leaf blower, just like move it all and as fast as possible, like clean it out, So broad strokes for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I can relate to that. I'm not always. I don't know. I go back and forth. I like detailed things. It's just certain things really get me where I'm like, this is not my. Yeah. I'm not gonna go there with the details.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, details. Lewis on the podcast today. Bloomington, born and raised. Tell us those details.
That's right. Childhood details.
Yeah.
Let's see. From Bloomington.
Yeah.
Was born at the Bloomington Hospital.
Yeah.
And
R.I.P.
I know.
It's finally gone.
It's crazy. There was just like these cranes, the digging up stuff, and I thought, wow, that's kind of crazy. I mean, it's totally gone now.
It is.
But born here, and my parents. My mom's from New Jersey originally, and she moved to Bloomington when she was like 12. And then my dad, they met at Heron Art School.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And so, so my dad's from Evansville, and they kind of moved down here to get back to my mom's. My grandma lived here. Okay. And so then we
got a couple generations here in B-Town then.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, totally.
With the grandma, yeah.
Right. And she's passed, but that was a while ago. I was when I was 16, but it's been a long journey. So I don't know. So that's some of it,
Of course. So, have you ever like moved out or lived away from Bloomington at any point in your life? Have you gone to school somewhere or
right? I feel like a big part of my leaving Bloomington was like touring.
Okay.
Because I feel like touring was always a way. There was a certain time, especially like when I was a teenager, like I feel like I would be touring all the time, and so. That kind of felt like the closest thing I've been to living in another place is just being in all those different places and kind of being transitory. But
I didn't realize you were touring at a young age.
Yeah, I've been touring since I was 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
As just yourself or with your brother as well?
With Addison, like Busman's Holiday, early stuff.
Really?
And we would, it was crazy. We went all over. And
what was like, I don't need to know like the chronology of all the. I'm sure it'd be hard to recall all details, but was there any like first big gig travel that took you somewhere that was kind of like you felt either like fish out of water, it was like a really memorable trip, or like wow, we're going to this cool place,
right?
Yeah.
Well, like I feel like it was so much of that, like because you've never been anywhere and you're in a van and you're 15 years old and you're with guys that are kind of older, and that's why you could go, but but not much older, and then we played on the street a lot back then. So it would just be this great way of knowing a town like faster than you could, it's like you see the people and who's walking by and how receptive they are to music, and like, I don't know. There's a lot. So, being in New Orleans for the first time was really exciting at that time. I remember going to Texas. Like, Texas was such a interesting place to go. Going to Austin. Like, these people being in New York, playing in New York. I think that the shows that were, oh, wow, this is a big show, that came a lot later. Because like those early days were.
Well, even just going to a city like that for the first time.
Right.
Right. Like it's like, oh, I'm going over to, not to like drag any city through the mud, but it's a difference of like, I'm going over to Muncie or Kokomo versus like, oh, I'm going to like New Orleans or like New York City. Like that's way more of an experience.
Most definitely. And a total, especially context wise, totally different than what you're used to. And that was it was a fast lesson of, like learning how to be a person out in the world, and I don't know, trying to read people, and I love the experience. It's like, it's great.
So you said like 14, 15 years old, you started doing that. Just to reel us back into like growing up in Bloomington. Did you ever have any like day jobs or like any like retail jobs or like clerical jobs or food jobs as a young person in Bloomington?
Yeah. So
other than touring, of course.
Sure. Yep. So back in the day, I worked at Roadworthy Guitar and Amp.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And Roadworthy was just an incredible place, a really good place for guitarists. And that actually, it made me play. It gave me another center for guitar playing, and you would go in there and, just Bloomington at that time was it's just cool, and the original Roadworthy was really, it was like this shotgun. It just had tons of guitars. I don't know if you remember it, but like, it's like,
I do.
Tall.
Yeah.
That place was
amazing. Very impressive.
Yeah. Like really tall, like, almost like like maybe a story of just guitars, and it would just go up to the ceiling, and so many memories like went down there.
Which location was that at? Didn't they move a few times?
Yeah, they moved. Yeah, so they had that. Yeah. There was actually 3 moves. The original was in the garage. And then the second one was in Kirkwood, and then that building was supposed to be tore down.
Really?
So they kicked out like 4 amazing businesses.
Dang.
Yeah, which was real bummer, and like clerical issue all the way. But either way, so then they moved into Landlocked.
Okay.
And that's really like, I started working at Roadworthy kind of right at the tail end of the Kirkwood store, and then moved into the Landlocked location. And yeah, so I worked there for a long time, and that place meant a lot to me. There was a lot of things that happened, like, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of important things happened.
Well, I don't know too much of behind the scenes, but I'm assuming it was like a locally owned, like family owned kind of thing. Like, I think one of my first jobs was a family owned video rental store here in Bloomington.
Nice.
And so there was just this community vibe of like people coming in looking for recommendations.
Right.
People coming in wanting to talk about things. I'm sure at a musical shop, you've got people that want to learn guitar, people that want to know something interesting or technical about why this model over that model. So you just get a lot of engagement, and maybe like learning a lot yourself too, right?
Yes.
Like, are you a gearhead? You like pedals and like amps and stuff?
Yeah,
mics?
I am. Unfortunately, I am a gearhead.
It's a dangerous place to work.
Yeah, it is. It was. Yeah. Like, I'm up to a point. I'm not. I like to get technical, but also I always come back to like, it has to be for the art, Yeah. But then, sometimes I'm just a maniac.
Yeah, right. Ooh, look at this new shiny thing that does this thing. That's cool.
Exactly.
I want to check that out.
Yeah, exactly.
So did after you'd worked at Roadworthy, were there any other positions and around town?
Yes. So I also worked at Plan 9 for a long time, actually. The
movie
video
store?
rental. Yeah, exactly. The movie store. I worked there for that's probably the longest job I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, that was 8 I think I worked there for 8 or 9 years. Because because I could leave for touring. Yeah. So it worked out great. Yeah. And that was kind of my main gig plus music.
Are they still around, or
they are? They're now it's Vulture Video, but
that's right. Yeah.
Awesome.
But they're kind of in the same spot as they've always been, right?
Yeah, like another place
it
that
6th
moved
Street?
a ton.
Oh, they
Yeah.
did move. Okay.
They like just, but it's tricky because Plan 9 was originally underneath the book
Nook?
Or
the corner.
the book corner, right?
Yeah.
Right. And there used to be a big painting. I don't know if you remember that, but like a spaceship, and it said Plan 9. And so that was owned by Terry, and Terry originally owned it, and then Dave and Chris they bought the business, and then they moved right next door to where it is right now.
Which is on 6th Street, right?
Right.
Where was it? Rewind was over there, and Phoenix, Vintage Phoenix Comics.
Exactly.
See, I remember making my route around that little area of blocks for Plan 9, for Vintage Phoenix Comics. And do you ever remember 21st Century 5 and Dime? It was in the basement under Uptown, which now it's just a skylight. Like there's not even like a stairwell down there now.
I know.
Yeah, and there were always it was always really like heavily incense, like you could barely breathe when you went down in there, and like just stacks and crates of boxes of comics everywhere.
Yes, I have vivid memories of going in there. That was like a spot. That was like definitely a Bloomington spot where you went down there. That smell, I think, is really like that's something that I really think about with Bloomington when I think of that smell of that basement, in particular. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man. Very cool.
Like just incense. Yeah.
And I wonder. So is there? What made me think of that was because Plan 9 was down in the basement there.
Yeah. Right.
But you're just doing music now full time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No Plan
much.
9, no Roadworthy.
No,
You've kind of taken those and run. We were talking a little bit about you make some videos for yourself for the music.
Right. Right.
Tell me what's going on in that world for you right now. Name drop, let the world know, you and your brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Me and Ad, right.
Yeah.
Yes. So my band Busman's Holidays put out a record. It's called Good Songs.
Excellent.
Yep, that came out at the end of last year. And so now we've just been we're planning tours and trying to figure out what's next with that, and vinyl's coming soon, which I'm really stoked on, and just trying to spend the next year really just still talking about that as much as we can, and still promoting it and doing all that stuff. And so that's been we went up to Montreal to record it, and
cool.
Recorded at Arcade Fire's studio up there, and it was it's awesome. I mean, it was a great experience. It kind of had session players from Montreal play on it, and they're from all over the world, and they're just Montreal's a very special place. Lots of different culture there.
Oh, sure.
And it's it's great.
It's a hub. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great, and then we brought it back to Indiana, and then really finished the album here, and I love the difference between the two, and I don't know, different things give us different energies, and it's nice to come back here and kind of feel. We did vocals here, which was nice, to feel kind of comfortable and
in your home space. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so I'm realizing that we've probably got like 20 minutes into this episode, and we haven't actually connected the dots to our listeners that Lewis has recorded the theme song for our season 4, which by the way is like so awesome. And I just sometimes I'll just listen to an episode just to listen to the theme song. I mean, I know I have just the song from you, but I just it's so warm and so fun, and we're so thankful for you to have, especially in the midst of all the work you've been doing with your album, to take on this kind of like one-off thing.
Hey,
but we love what you do, man, and you just kind of ran with it.
I appreciate it. I was glad to do it. I feel like it's funny with a tidbit from that. I was looking at my old voice memos, and one of the songs that I had written was the first line of this theme song.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it was before you had even kind of talked to me
for
about
a totally different song, idea,
right,
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And it felt real familiar when I was writing it, and I was like, "Well, this is right."
Let's go out to eat, something like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then it's fun. It's just it's real funny. So I was like, "Well, that was meant to be."
Yeah, man. It was meant to be, and I know from a lot of conversations we've had with some drinks, with some campfires, that maybe not a lot of other people know about. But Busman's Holiday, amazing act. You do a lot of amazing work with your brother, but you also do work for hire sometimes.
Most definitely.
And so we credit you as Lew Bruno because this is like your solo thing that you did with us.
Right.
Introducing Constellation Stage and Screen. Bloomington's newest professional theater and film company. On stage next, Constellation presents American Fast, a riveting new sports drama playing March 23rd through April 8th at the Ted Jones Playhouse. 21-year-old college basketball sensation Katie Salama makes it to March Madness, only to become a national news story when she lies about observing the Muslim fast while competing in the tournament. See this thrilling new basketball drama, American Fast, on stage March 23rd through April 8th in downtown Bloomington. Find tickets at constellation.org. You haven't heard about Excalibur? Well, you better axe somebody. It's Bloomington's premier axe throwing facility located at 3604 West 3rd Street. It's perfect for birthdays, wedding parties, corporate events, or just hanging out with your friends. They also offer fun for all ages and super exciting Jelly Ball. Find out more and book your next event at Excaliburs.com. That's AXE Caliber with an S, Excaliburs.com. Did you know the Chocolate Mousse has a second Bloomington location? Located next to Buffalo's on Indiana Avenue, not only can you find our famous homemade ice cream, but we also have a full coffee menu featuring locally roasted Brown County coffee and delicious vegan and gluten-free treats from our friends at Rainbow Bakery. Skip the line and order ahead at moosebtown.com 7 days a week. Open early at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. It's the perfect early morning stop, midday pick-me-up, or late-night snack.
Is there other kind of work out there that you want to rep, you want to talk about? I mean, dare I say, like, sometimes some hip hop beats?
Yes,
I don't know,
indeed.
you know, like tell us what you will. Yeah.
Yes. So let's see. Yeah, like one of the newer projects I've worked with is with this guy named Super Bobby, and I produced and mixed this record called Yellowbird that he did. And yeah, that's been a long relationship. Like the rap thing has been a real interesting thing that's been a thread throughout my whole life, kind of low key in the background. Just because it's something that I really like to do, but I don't find is necessarily something that I'm like, you know, it's not my foreground. It's kind of
it's like a side outlet, right?
Exactly. It's something that
keeps your mind fresh.
Exactly. And it gets me just like, just in that space, which is just like, I don't know. It's so fun. And like, so that has been a side part of my career. Like we've gone on tour and we've done shows and we used to open up we'd go on tour with Paul Barabo and then Super Bobby would play. And then we would have like a whole rap crew with him and we would kind of like do our thing. And then Busmans would play. Yeah, that was a crazy tour.
That's a mix up of like different acts all on one stage.
And it was all in Florida.
Okay.
Nothing but in Florida.
All right. On the beach somewhere? I mean,
sometimes in Miami and like crazy houses or and Paul was real big in the DIY scene. So we'd play like skate parks and like we would just, that was so much fun. Like, rapping on stage is like,
so do you, I was curious, like you produce music, like you instrumentals and beats and stuff.
Right.
But do you also get up for a live show and do lyrics, like freestyles and stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or are you like doing ad-libs?
I'm not a freestyle.
You're like a hype guy in the background?
Yep. I did. Yeah, we did all that. We'd have we'd have a routine. It was really fun.
Oh man.
It was a whole show.
I want to see that someday, man. I don't know if it'll happen.
It was wild. Yeah, the original group that we had was called Rusty Zavitson. That was the name of our rap group.
What's the second name? Rusty
Zavitson.
Zavitson,
which is the name of the producer of Achy Breaky Heart.
Okay.
Which we met in Nashville, and we just thought he took us to a China buffet and told us all about producing and and so Billy Ray Cyrus, That was his other
It all happened over the Chinese buffet.
Right.
We're bringing it back to the show, the core tenet of the show,
yes.
right?
He brought me to, so Nashville China buffet. That's where we saw Rusty Zavitson.
China buffet or?
It was like, probably one of those.
Golden Wall or,
I don't remember the exact.
Red Dragon.
He told us he wanted to take us to the China buffet.
Okay.
Which we knew. Okay.
See, so that was one of my questions. I didn't even get to it yet, but I was like, traveling on the road.
Yeah.
You probably have an opportunity to see all sorts of different cuisines and try all different kind of like local flair for wherever that is. How many countless places have you been? Did anything stand out about in your journey other than the Chinese buffet with Rusty?
In Nashville. In Nashville.
Yeah.
being in go back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, we go out for oysters there, and that was one of those times where we were really poor, and we kind of thought the person who was taking us was going to like hook us up, and then they didn't
foot the bill.
Yeah, but then afterwards we were like, those were so good though.
Yeah,
or like the po' boys there. Like, I mean, there's so much good food in New Orleans.
It's the funny thing when you get to a coastal region like that has such fresh seafood.
Yeah.
Sometimes those dishes aren't even though that expensive, right? Like I've been to some places on the East Coast where it's like buck a shuck night and you can get like fresh caught that day oysters for like $1 a piece. It's like you're never going to see somewhere like that in landlocked Indiana.
No.
When you go on the road, how do you like do you plan like your journey and like where you're going to stop to eat? Do you like load in a bunch of like car food and snacks? Is it a little bit of both? Like, do you ever look forward to like, oh, we're going to go to this place again and I want to go back to that restaurant?
Yeah. Yes.
All of that.
Yeah. All of that. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, like, it depends. I mean, we don't do a ton of, unless we've been somewhere. Like there was this place in Buffalo, New York that we used to go to all the time. And it was a vegan diner.
All right.
It was called Amy's Place. And at
Shout
the time,
out Amy's Place.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Amy's Place was awesome. And you go there for the breakfast, and they had these they'd have lentils and eggs and like, it was just it was broccoli and like, it was just, all the things that were it was just made just right. They'd have these big sandwiches that were like to die for. And they were just huge and cheap. Like
nice.
You could just get the most food you ever imagined. It was like 5 pounds of this like lentil burrito thing. And it would be like $7. So you could buy one and split one. So especially the punks in that area, they were all like, you got to go there, and it's vegan. So I wasn't vegan, but everyone I was around was. So
you can still eat vegan even if you're not vegan.
Absolutely.
Right? So that doesn't work the other way around.
No, yeah, that's right. That's right. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so that space was amazing. And so there's always places like that where you kind of go, well, we have to go. If we're going this way, we got to stop there because there's no other. There's what else are we doing? Yeah. And then there's like going into. I mean, New York has so much good food. It's crazy. I mean, or LA. Both of those places are crazy. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You just go anywhere, and especially LA. Like I don't know. Like so many.
There's a lot
balls,
to. How do you find these places? You mentioned Amy's. Maybe you'd like talk to the punks in the area, but it's like, how do you then when you go to such a large place find these gems? Like that's something that I love when I'm traveling for work is discovering those little treats in those little places, but it's sometimes it can be more difficult, and sometimes it's like, how did I even end up here? This is amazing,
right?
Yeah, like
I mean,
do you have any tricks of like discovering that kind of thing?
I think it's all about talking to the people that live there. I mean, you have to like and also I don't know. I try. You can look at your phone, but I find most of the time everybody goes to Yelp when they're on tour, especially and. It works for the most part. I mean, it gets you somewhere where you're like, this isn't bad food. And sometimes you will get gems, but I find like the people in town know so much more about where to go than, and you have, if you're there, I mean, it's the best when someone tells you like the spot, especially in like Philly, if you're getting like Philly cheesesteaks, you got like, there's a lot of those that say they're the best. Yeah. And you talk to local people and like, that place, screw that place.
That's like, not a cheesesteak.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't even have cheese whiz on it. I mean,
but you wouldn't know because you're coming into town for a night or 2 nights, flash in the pan.
Right.
You get something, it tastes good. You're like, wow, that was it. But yeah, you got to talk to the people. Strike up a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the joys of just traveling in general is that you can meet a bunch of different people and you can have a lot of different points of view. And that's my favorite part about traveling. Mm-hmm. Just meeting all these people and you collect their stories or you listen and I don't know, and they become a part of you, and it's a special thing. Yeah.
So that's one of the kind of special things for me and why I came on to kind of help out with the podcast is this thing we're talking about, traveling somewhere, getting that inside scoop. It's sort of like a reverse engineer because we're Bloomington locals.
Right.
We can kind of have an opportunity to say, well, what are the places that we really like?
Totally.
So
totally.
Question to you, sir. What kind of places here in town, what's on your like top 5 list of just like, where you want to go? Where do you go a lot?
Yes.
That kind
love
of, and
that.
why?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, One of the top things, Korea restaurant.
Yeah.
Love Korea
On 4th
restaurant.
Street?
Yes, on
Okay.
4th Street.
Yep.
That spot is like, I love that. I love Korean food.
Yeah. With
Like-
the little, all the little pickle
all the little
dishes.
sides.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I just, you know.
Any
it's-
particular dish, or you're all along for all of it?
I like the jayuk.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Man, love
Jay
that.
chicken.
Yeah. And then there's just, I feel like anytime I'm always kind of messing around, seeing what else. And, you know, anything with kimchi or, you know, rib, belly, you know,
Okay.
all that stuff.
Yeah. Ribs,
Right.
pork.
Right. Yes.
Barbecue.
Yes.
Kimchi.
Totally. I love that. Then, I mean, it's like so much on 4th Street. I mean, you like Little Tibet and Siam House and Taste of India. And I mean, that is such a fertile place in Bloomington. I mean, it's the best.
I love like everywhere you just named, you know. And one place it's been a while. I used to go to them when they weren't technically on 4th Street. They were just off the corner, and the house was like Yats or Dats. And now they're in the international market.
Right.
And it took me forever to like just go back and check them out. And lately I've been like kind of once a week or every other week, just like going in there, getting a whatever they call it, the mega size, like split entree. You get 2 different jambalaya or, you know, whatever, etouffee.
Yes.
Oh man, on a big old bowl of rice.
Oh yeah.
It's like $10.
So good.
And it's scratch made.
I haven't. Man, that sounds great. I haven't been there in a while. We used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Yachts used to be big on the list. And so I would say is like 4th Street is almost its own. You could almost just say that's 1 or
right?
2 or so.
We're just going to 4th Street.
That's right. Like just that is just a favorite place. But then like obviously the Runcible Spoon, you know, that's been a Bloomington classic and still is very much. If somebody's from out of town, most of the time I'll probably tell them like Runcible Spoon isn't a bad place to go.
Yeah.
And then and actually the spot behind it that people don't really talk about, Stereo Rago.
Oh man,
that place is good. People don't know about that
banging.
place. It's really absolutely.
It's scratch made, delicious sort of Italian food, noodles, sandwiches, and it's like my favorite thing about it is it's a small enough space that when you're in there and they're packed, it doesn't feel like you're in like a super bustly, busy, like overcrowded restaurant. Like it's intimate and it's kind of quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be a good date place. That'd be a good place that.
I've been on a date.
Yeah?
a few
Nice.
times. Yeah, man.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. It's a good
Makes
spot.
sense. It's like a little secluded, you know. Bloomington, you always need your spots that are like a little off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to wrap things up here. One thing I definitely wanted to talk about at the beginning of the show, but where are some of the places you might be looking forward to taking your now 1-year-old Benny? Right? Like so many possibilities out there. Has he been to any restaurants? We're just probably getting into the food game. You know, he's gone to a lot of restaurants with us, throughout the time, and it's been really it's fun to take him into places and see what he does. I mean, for a while he was real easy. We could just have him on our laps and just kind of like he would, you know, just hang out. And then now he's a little bit more rambunctious now. He's walking a lot, man.
Yes, he is. He is.
That's so exciting. I'm just every time I get a chance to see you and Case and Ben, I'm just like I'm stoked on it.
I just love it. Same with you guys. It's crazy.
Yeah. We all got to get together again and have a little baby, you know, family hangout.
Love that.
Yeah,
love that.
I just recently ordered in some food, and we were like, we're just starting to get the kids in like that food mode, and so I was like, oh, maybe should I try like a little bit of hummus or like this fruit or that sort of thing? Is he just like eating everything now, or where are you guys at with introducing foods? Yeah,
he eats all sorts. Now it's like it's not much he doesn't eat. It's kind of like apples are starting still some kind of off limits, but
like whole apples.
Right. But every morning now it's starting to exactly. Every morning now I feed him an egg. That's kind of like the first thing we do. You know, a little egg and I mean he's eating all sorts of stuff. He eats everything pretty much we've been eating, which is a trip.
Great.
And I wasn't actually super stoked on it, but then you get into it. Casey was really excited. I guess people get excited about that stuff, but I was kind of like, we got to feed him now. Like, you know, I don't know.
Not just a bottle or some milk.
Right. Which seems like much simpler, but you know,
we're right in that transition period ourselves, man. So it's like, I kind of feel where you're coming from, where it's like, is it going to start to be a little more complex than usual, right?
Right.
You just fill up the bottle. There you go. Maybe a little bit of like a Cheerio there, Cheerio here.
Right. Yes. I know that. Yeah, exactly. And now, then he likes Cheerios still, though. Man, he really likes those.
Yeah. They make you feel good.
They do. You got to watch out for that dust, though. That Cheerio dust is serious.
Yeah.
That's stuff
Did
will,
you have an
incident?
incident?
It's just, it's kind of like ashes or something. Like it blows out and it's like, it gets everywhere.
Oh, man. I don't like that.
No, I don't either.
Sounds like a dangerous weapon, like
it kind of,
that no one's ever told you about.
That's what it is. Cheerio dust.
Yeah, man.
Gotta watch out for that.
I feel like the time has flown for us. I don't want to keep you. I appreciate you coming on. Before we go, I know you mentioned that you've been working on the album. You mentioned that you're working on maybe some tours. Is there anything coming up? This episode will be coming out like early March 2003. So anything you're looking out on the horizon you want to rep or get out in front of people?
Yes. We'll be playing the Bishop on April 6th.
Perfect.
For a book opening.
Okay.
For Ledge Mule, the press in town. Other than that, we're gonna just start touring and hopefully be in other people's cities very soon.
And visiting, what was it, Amy's place?
Yes, going to Amy's place in Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo, or
be there.
maybe checking out a Chinese buffet with Rusty.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He doesn't talk to us anymore though. He didn't like that.
Oh man, that's too bad. Yeah, well, it's been a super pleasure, Lewis.
Same.
I'm so thankful.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be a part of it. Super fun. This
check out the set.
Is
right?
this from Waffle House?
I don't know where he got those.
Because that looks a lot like there used to be a Waffle House in town.
Really?
They had like
the
pretty
fork
much
and the
exactly,
spoon.
yes.
I'll have to ask Jordan. I brought the lamp to the table.
I'm getting a real old school Waffle House vibe in here.
Right?
That's
we
a
were
nice
going
thing.
for like
paneling.
like the 90s like Pizza Hut or like maybe Waffle House vibe for sure. He had the table, I had the lamp. I'll ask him about we must know.
Please do. Let me get back to me.
Cheers. Thanks, Lewis.
Absolutely.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us in the latest episode of the No Dishes podcast. Do you like what you heard? Be sure to write a review, rate us, subscribe, like, whatever it is that you do to show your support. We really appreciate it. Until next time, be sure to keep those hands dry. This episode of the No Dishes podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Garrett Portinga of Green Hat Media in beautiful downtown Bloomington, Indiana.
No dishes.
Season 4 of the No Dishes podcast is brought to you by visitbloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurants and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at visitbloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town.
No Dishes Media.
No Dishes Media.